I understand how he must feel. If my dad were shot, wouldn't I be angry? What's hard to believe is this. Vovka's dad, an enemy of the people? When Vovka and I were friends, I went to his apartment hundreds of times. I liked his dad. He was a good Soviet citizen, modest, a devoted communist. How could he be a wrecker? I start thinking about it, but get nowhere. It's just too confusing. Then I remember what my dad used to say. There's no smoke without a fire. If someone is arrested and executed, there must be a good reason for it. The state security wouldn't be shooting people for nothing. What about my dad then? He was arrested. Sobakin, Zaitchik, get in here, the principal yells from his office. I get up, but Vovka doesn't move. I feel bad for him, so I pat him on the shoulder, urging him to join me. Out of the blue, he leaps up and grabs me by the collar. I was this close to strangling that teacher scum if not for you. Trying to be a hero like your perfect dad? Too late, dirty wrecker. I'm turning you in. He shoves me aside and strides into the office. In the doorway, he bumps into Nina Petrovna, who is walking out. She shrieks and leaps back. Vovka gives her a nasty grin and goes in. I wait for Nina Petrovna to exit, but she doesn't, glaring at me suspiciously. Sergei Ivanych yells again, "Get in, criminals! I don't have all day." Nina Petrovna darts out, and I go in. Sergei Ivanych orders me to lock the door and stand next to Vovka by the wall. It's bright daylight outside, but his office is dark. All I can see are the large portrait of Stalin, and below Sergei Ivanych at his desk, eyeing us angrily. Let me explain what we are looking at, he says. I'll make it simple. He looks at Vovka. First you, Sabakin. Thanks to you, I'll have to answer to the appropriate authorities for my weakness of character. No telling what they'll do. I let you stay after your father was put away, and I kept it quiet. But what do? You attack Nina Petrovna. She's scum, Vovka says. I didn't hear it, Sabakin. He turns to me. You, Zaitchik, your father has been arrested and locked up in Lubyanka. You think I don't know? I press my back against the wall to keep from falling. He goes on. So why not come to me and say, Sergei Ivanych, I want to purify myself from the rotten influence of my father. I want to march with my school to where great Stalin leads. Huh? You didn't do that, did you? I can feel Vovka staring at me, but I won't turn my head. Had you done that, Sergei Ivanych says, I would have let you denounce your father at today's Pioneers' rally. Who knows, maybe we'd even have let you join the Pioneers. But no, you chose to pretend that you are still one of us. Here he slams his fist against the desktop so hard his phone receiver flies off the cradle. You think you can get away from our state security? They've been calling all day from the orphanage for the children of enemies of the people. What was I supposed to tell them? That you're not here? Only when Vovka grabs me under my arm do I notice that I'm sliding down to the floor. Sobakin, says Sergei Ivanych, pull up a chair for Zaitchik. The boy needs to sit down. I drop into the chair Vovka brings. I guess my dad is not coming to the rally after all. Not coming after all. Sergei Ivanych sighs, sits back, and looks at us, not unkindly. Boys, you don't know what's good for you, he says. Finally, we got rid of that Jew, Finkelstein. That might have satisfied the authorities for a while, but no, you had to get in trouble. I'm sending you both to the orphanage. Case closed. Finkelstein didn't do it, Vovka says. Not my problem. He confessed. Sergei Ivanych shuffles the papers on his desk, then looks up at Vovka. How do you know he didn't do it? Don't send me to the orphanage and I'll tell you. Don't you blackmail me, Sabakin. You know who broke off the nose? I do, Vovka says. Sergei Ivanych smiles. Here's a chance to correct our failures. He reaches for the phone. Operator, get me state security, he says into the receiver. Then he looks up at me and says, Think you can make it back to class, Zaitchik? I nod. Run along, he says. I'll deal with you later. In the main hall, the statue I damaged has been hauled away. It must have been heavy. There are gashes in the floor where they dragged Stalin to the staircase. I wonder where they've taken it. I look around. The hall is deserted, just as it was this morning when I marched in, bearing the banner, imagining the May Day parade. It seems like ages ago. In no hurry to get back to Nina Petrovna's class, I dawdle in the corridor, listening to the sounds coming from behind the closed doors. The classes are in progress. I hear teachers' voices, feet marching to an accordion, chalk knocking against a blackboard, someone practicing a bugle. Everyone is learning to be useful to our country. Everyone is marching toward communism. Everyone but me. I am no longer a part of the communist we. This is a new feeling, and I don't like it, but it's better not to think about it. This new feeling, I decide, will go away by itself. To distract myself, I peek in on the Russian literature class, not particularly my favorite. The portraits of dead writers line the walls. They all have beards. Lusko, a substitute teacher, stands at the blackboard. He also has a beard. What is the profound meaning of this masterpiece of Russian literature, he says to the class. Why is the nose still so important to us? No hands go up, and I'm not surprised. He's talking about a crazy old story they always make us read, called The Nose. It's really stupid. Some guy's nose is dressed up in uniform. Imagine that. And it starts putting on airs as though it's an important government official. It takes place way before Stalin was our leader and teacher, of course. Could something like this happen now? No way. So why should Soviet children read such lies? I don't know. I'm in no hurry, so I keep listening. What the nose so vividly demonstrates to us today, says Lusko, is that when we blindly believe in someone else's idea of what is right or wrong for us as individuals, sooner or later our refusal to make our own choices could lead to the collapse of the entire political system, an entire country, the world even. He looks at the class significantly and says, "Do you understand?" Of course, they have no idea what he's talking about. This Lusko is suspicious. I always thought so. All teachers use words you hear on the radio, but he doesn't. I don't know what's wrong with him. I turn and walk away. The fact is, Vovka is telling on me right now. By the time I get back to Nina Petrovna's class, everyone will know the truth. Right away, they'll start treating me like an enemy of the people. And why shouldn't they? My dad is in prison, and it is I, not Finkelstein, who damaged Stalin's statue. I am an enemy of the people, and I must face the consequences. The state will bring him up, said the senior lieutenant last night when they took my dad away. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. He was talking about the orphanage. Instead of joining the pioneers, this is where I'm going. They will feed me, clothe me, and put a roof over my head, but nobody will ever trust me again. From this day on, I will be unreliable and suspicious. Me, who loves Stalin more than any of them. It's hard to believe this is really happening, but it is. I don't have to keep thinking any harder to know what I have to do. I'm going to disappear. I turn and run back across the main hall, push open the doors to the staircase, and race all the way down. At the bottom of the stairs, I hop over the banister and land right in front of the same senior lieutenant and his 2 guards.